And so just think about those people that do ultrasounds. It's absolutely incredible. Joy, I think we got Bryan Kemper with us. Why don't you introduce
Well,
him?
we have Bryan Kemper. Now, Bryan is with Priests for Life. He is their youth director. You could go to Bryan's website. It's endabortion.us.
Bryan, wonderful to have you here at Home with Jim and Joy. I think you said when we spoke a few days ago you were going to Chicago for the March for Life there. How did things go there, if you made it? And just go right ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Went to the March for Life Chicago. I know this sounds silly. I used to be a very big Green Bay Packers fan, and when I found out that the Green Bay Packers Foundation decided to start to fund Planned Parenthood, I said I will never be a Packers fan, and I got to meet the owner of the Chicago Bears, who was the keynote speaker at the March for Life Chicago, and tell him that I am now a Bears fan, and thanked him for standing up for life and being willing to publicly to stand against the abortion Holocaust. So that was an amazing experience, and just had a great time in Chicago.
Beautiful. Well, Bryan, share with us. I've known you for years, especially your youth outreach, your own personal ministry with Priests for Life. Did you have a good youth turnout? What's the status of youth being involved in the pro-life movement today?
You know, it was amazing because in the summer, I was part of a youth pro-life training camp with Priests for Life and survivors of the abortion Holocaust in D.C. And I met this mom and two daughters who were there just for something else and were watching us do street witnessing. And they came up, and these two high school girls started talking and joined in on our pro-life discussions. And then they actually came to Chicago to become part of the very first pro-life event that they ever went to. And the event was so full of young people. And I've said, you know, when I first started going to the main March for Life in D.C., it was 70% older people, and now it's at least 70% younger people. So we're excited to see that the youth are standing up and saying that this is their generation, and they believe that they are the generation that will abolish abortion. And it's just something that's been on my heart for what I've been doing for 30 years, is being able to educate, activate, and equip young people to be a voice for this generation.
Well, I think that is so important what you do, because like you said, you want to empower them, that then they would be a voice to their peers as, you know, they're meeting with them in classes and in clubs and high schools, and believe it or not, even in their churches, just to stand up and to be a bold witness. And you are young at heart also, and I know the youth, when they come out like a sea of humanity, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, look at all these people. And we know for a fact that the culture of death does not have the youth on their side, do they?
No, they do not. They do not. The young people, I even remember years back, I believe it was the head of NARAL, when she got off the train in D.C., realized the sea of youth and publicly said, wow, this is disheartening for them, because they saw so many young people there to stand for life.
Beautiful. What tips do you have for us, just as parents, grandparents, the children in our own families or at school? How do we actually, pique their interest? Do you find their hearts open to this? And how do we activate them to really get involved? What are some tips?
Well, I think right now the message that's been on my heart for the last year, and it's about accepting these young women when they find out they are pregnant. There are so many young girls that end up pregnant that sometimes feel like they have no place else to go. And I try to teach my children to be, like when they're in high school and such, to be accepting, to be loving to these girls, to be that voice that they could come to one of my daughters and say, hey, I'm scared. I don't know what to do, type of a thing. And it came to a head for me a year ago when my own daughter had to come to me and said, Daddy, I'm pregnant.
Okay.
And she looked at me, and I just hugged her, and I said, I love you. And she goes, but aren't you mad at me, Dad? And I said, no, babe, I'm not mad at you. You just told me I'm a grandpa now. And that's been on my heart, is that we need to just love these young girls, not shame them, not tell them how wrong they are, but to tell them it's okay. It's okay. We love you, and we're going to welcome this child.
Yeah. Well, that is very true, and we deal with that on a daily basis. And one of the things, part of that is to lift their head and to say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't the end of the story. You might feel shamed, you might feel disappointed, you might be angry. Sometimes girls who are in unplanned pregnancies grow angry with themselves that this happened to them. But it's really the parents, and hopefully that domestic church where we then can say it's going to be okay. We will get through this by God's grace and mercy. And your great response was, you just told me I'm going to be a grandfather. You went for the celebration of it all.
Bryan, thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely.
Bryan, thank you so much, and keep up your great work. May God anoint you and keep you and protect you and all of your loved ones. We thank God for you and for the hope that you bring to us. God bless you, brother.
Thank you so much, and it's an honor to be on the show always.
Thanks,
Bless
Bryan.
you.